This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WMDX Daily News Roundup for Mad Radio 92.7 FM and 1580 AM in Madison.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei-Olson. In a developing story, the Trump administration's move to stop federal grant and loan payments from being paid has been blocked, at least for now. The White House sent a memo to federal agencies telling them to stop making those payments at 4 p.m. Central Time yesterday. Now, that could impact all kinds of programs that get federal funding, like Head Start, law enforcement, Meals on Wheels, victim services, the list goes on. I spoke with somebody who works in one of those areas who said their team was scrambling all day trying to figure out what happens next. According to the State Journal, Wisconsin gets $14 billion this year in federal money. More than 60% of it goes toward the Department of Health Services and is then funneled into local health departments, including Public Health Madison-Dane County. Wisconsin is one of more than 20 states suing the federal government, saying the executive branch does not have the authority to stop money that was appropriated by Congress. Nonprofits across the country have also filed lawsuits. Democratic lawmakers who represent the Badger State are furious. Senator Tammy Baldwin.
I'm hearing from local fire departments in our rural parts of the state, wondering if they could lose the grants that they need to do their jobs, pay our firefighters, and save lives. I'm hearing from moms and local school districts who are worried that they won't be able to feed their kids. I'm hearing from substance use treatment providers and domestic abuse shelters who won't be able to help those fighting addiction or escaping unsafe situations.
Republican Representative Tom Tiffany of Minocqua lauded the move, saying this is what Trump promised on the campaign trail. But for now, things are in limbo. That includes for the universities of Wisconsin. About a third of the funding for the UW system comes from federal money, according to the Wisconsin State Journal. Now, this attempted move by the Trump administration, if it went into effect, would not apply to payments that go directly to individuals, like Medicare, Social Security, and student loans. But the system gets the biggest chunk of federal money for contracts and grants, not student loans. And that funding would stop. UW-Madison Chancellor Jennifer Mnookin called it all concerning. The university was already dealing with the Trump administration's pause in federal funding for research. UW-Madison's research efforts rank 6th in the nation. Also making headlines from the Trump administration, they've offered nearly 8 months' salary to all federal government employees, trying to encourage them to resign. It's part of their efforts to majorly cut government staff and spending. The fight over Wisconsin's Act 10 continues. In December, a Dane County judge overturned portions of the controversial law that banned collective bargaining for many public workers. Groups like police and firefighters were exempt. They still had the right to bargain, which is why the judge struck it down. Republicans are appealing to the state Supreme Court. Now, legislators on both sides of the aisle are pushing Supreme Court justices to recuse themselves in the case. Lisa Hale reports.
2 Wisconsin Supreme Court justices have been asked to step away from ruling on Act 10. Republican lawmakers are asking Justice Janet Protasiewicz to step aside in the case that seeks to overturn a 2011 law that ended collective bargaining for most state workers. Protasiewicz campaigned as an opponent of Act 10 when she ran for justice in 2023. She called the law unconstitutional. Conservative Justice Brian Hagedorn helped draft Act 10 when he was Governor Scott Walker's chief legal counsel, and Democratic lawmakers have asked him to recuse himself from the case.
In an update to a story we were following last week, a student responsible for a threat to the Wisconsin Heights School District may face charges. On Friday, school was canceled for Wisconsin Heights students in Mazomanie out of what authorities called an abundance of caution after a potential threat. They said the system worked exactly as it should have. Someone reported a potential threat right to the sheriff's office, and they got the Office of School Safety involved. Deputies investigated and found that threat was not credible. But now they're referring a high school student to the district attorney's office for a charge of disorderly conduct, quote, for their role in creating unnecessary alarm, end quote. A reminder, the Speak Up, Speak Out line is always open. You can submit tips online via text or you can call. And it's Winter Salt Awareness Week. It makes our roads safer in slippery conditions, but can impact our environment and our furry friends. Meteorologist Brittany Merlot has more.
Increased salt and chloride levels have significant impacts on our daily lives. Nationwide, winter salt causes $5 billion in damage to infrastructure every year, causing corrosion of bridges, roads, and other infrastructure. Road salt can also impact pets by causing irritated paws or other health concerns if ingested. And in Wisconsin, 39% of the community wells exceed the Wisconsin Department of Health Services recommended sodium levels for individuals on a low-salt diet. And this has been the case since 2004. This means individuals managing diseases by limiting salt intake may take in more salt than they may be accounting for.
And the Center for Black Excellence in Culture has a new face on its leadership team. Wisconsin native Jason Fields will be the center's chief operating officer. He was the president of the Madison Region Economic Partnership. The center is expected to open next year. And 2 Wisconsin cities made the top 5 Midwest cities to move to in 2025. Consumer Affairs compiled a list by looking at 100 of the most populated Midwest cities and evaluating their safety, affordability, economy, education, and quality of life. Appleton came in at number 4 and Waukesha number 5. It ranked Carmel, Indiana, the best Midwestern city to move to. Numbers 2 and 3 were Naperville, Illinois, and Arlington Heights, Illinois, respectively, both suburbs of Chicago. According to the analysis, the worst city in the Midwest to move to is Detroit, Michigan. And a Wisconsin state trooper saved a bald eagle found in the middle of the interstate. It happened in La Crosse County on I-90. They believe the eagle had been hit by a car. The trooper stopped traffic to get it off the road. Along with the help of another driver, they managed to get the animal to a local humane society for treatment.
The Bucks lose again in Portland. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Bucks lost to the Trailblazers, 125-117. Giannis Antetokounmpo asked how has Portland beat them 3 out of 4 tries since they traded Damian Lillard away to Milwaukee.
Good team, play fast, have a lot of people that can make shots over the dribble. You know, when you give a team confidence, they beat you.
The Bucks road trip continues when they face the Spurs in San Antonio tomorrow night. College basketball, number 9th ranked Marquette with a win in Indianapolis, beating Butler 78-69. Cam Jones got into foul trouble, so Stevie Mitchell stepped up, scoring a career-high 22 points. Number 18th ranked Wisconsin and Maryland tonight. Head coach Greg Gard on why he thinks the Badgers have improved on offense.
You know, an unselfish group that doesn't care who gets the credit, and it's a really talented team that have a lot of weapons that can shoot it. And it's pretty much everybody we put on the floor is a legit threat from 3.
That's Wisconsin head coach Greg Gard. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. A popular TV detective will say goodbye once again. As a big fan of detective shows, I've really enjoyed Bosch and been through the entire series twice. Titus Welliver plays the uncompromising LA detective based on the lead character in Michael Connelly's crime novels. When the original show ended, it was spun off into Bosch Legacy, and its 3rd and final season will drop on Freevee March 27th, according to Deadline. If you like cop shows, both Bosch and Bosch Legacy are worth a peek. The Jonas Brothers are great at reinventing themselves, and there is a new iteration. The musically talented bros, Nick, Jonas, and Kevin, will play themselves trying to get home from London to New York in time for Christmas with family. Really thinking outside the box there. According to Deadline, Disney is hoping to have the film ready for a 2025 release. You guys think they'll make it home in time? Expect a nail-biter, ladies and gentlemen. A forgotten actor joins the cast of a forgotten TV show. I always wondered why Jason Patric never achieved bigger status as an actor. He always does solid work, and now will be doing it on a TV show that has been demoted from network TV to Peacock, but is part of a huge franchise known as Law & Order. Patrick, who is Jackie Gleason's grandson, will join Christopher Maloney in the cast of Law & Order Organized Crime for Season 5 as Detective Tom McKenna. There is no official date as to when Season 5 will drop. One of Pete's picks, a complete unknown. I'm not exactly going out on a limb here as it's Oscar nominated. The film follows Bob Dylan's transition from folk and the acoustic guitar to rock and playing a more electric sound. The narrative uses Dylan's music as a through line, starting with his arrival in New York at the age of 19. 3 of the film's cast members, Timothée Chalamet, Edward Norton, and Monica Barbaro, are all nominated for Oscars. Definitely worth a look. Lady Gaga is not used to getting bad reviews when it comes to her music or acting. That ended big time when Joker Folie à Deux was panned by critics and audiences alike. Gaga put things in perspective in a recent chat with Elle magazine, saying people just sometimes don't like some things. She sounded unfazed though, continuing that fear of failure is worse than actual failure, and if it takes over, can cause mayhem. Don't you hate it when your parole officer puts the kibosh on you hosting Saturday Night Live? Martha Stewart sure does. She whined to the perfect audience on The Tonight Show starring cheerleader Jimmy Fallon about how she missed her opportunity to host the show 20 years ago because of said parole officer. Maybe she'll get another opportunity since time has passed since she was convicted for conspiracy and obstruction of justice, as well as an insider trading scandal. It's so stressful when rich celebrities don't get everything they want. Maybe she can cry on her equally as annoying BFF Snoop Dogg's shoulder. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Peach Waba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Hi, meteorologist Brandon Vormans. Mostly sunny skies today, not as warm, but still a nice late January day with a high of 37, a bit breezy, wind gusts to 25 miles per hour. Mostly clear tonight with lows in the mid-20s. Warm again on Thursday with increasing clouds, still breezy with highs in the upper 40s. It's 35 at our studios.
That's your WMDX Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at mad.radio. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.